Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
Hey everybody, how we doing tonight? Welcome to the show. It's good to be back. First things first, you know the drill. Audio check. Can you hear me all right? And is my video coming through pretty good? I think the video looks good, except for the fact that my face is on it. So how's the audio, guys? Can you hear everything all right? Let me know. Good to see everybody. Curtis was in early tonight. Hey Curtis, how you doing, bud? Nice to see you. And then Griff popped in. Hey Griff, how you doing? Little Twisted, nice to see you. Little Twisted said loud and clear. Thank you. We got Chris L with us. Hey Chris, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. I want to welcome everybody that's joining us live. We appreciate you guys. We're going to have fun discussion tonight. I appreciate everybody that's joining in later as a viewer on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching us on. We are seen around the world, so welcome to the show, everybody. I encourage everybody to join the Facebook pages and keep an eye on us. Rabbit Holes is usually on Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. And we'd love to have you come live and join us. It's been a few weeks, guys. As y'all know, I've been working with Miss Jen and Mama J and sickness and stuff. And unfortunately to report, Mama J passed away last week. So I've been with Jen helping her through that and working with the funeral and getting all that stuff done. So it's been a struggle the past couple of weeks, really has. But it's time to kind of do a weekend to normalize and try and get things going without her. We're going to miss her. Mama J was a beautiful woman. So we will just kind of keep going. For those that are praying folk, please pray for Jennifer and her sister as they deal with all the stuff that comes with losing a parent. And on top of that, Jen is sick. She's actually just got diagnosed with the COVID today. So she got the sickness, and so she's dealing with that on top of everything else. So just prayers for them. All right, so tonight, guys, we're doing a viewer requested topic. And I can't remember. I think it was Brian Barber. I haven't seen him in a minute, but Brian Barber requested this one. Or it could have been Stan Stones. Not really sure. I can't remember which one of the two. But they brought this topic up to me, and I hadn't really heard of it much. And so I was kind of excited to dig into it. And when I first looked at it, I was just kind of like, this is kind of basic. So I was going to put it in a compilation show with this and another topic. But then as I started putting the slideshow together and stuff, it actually filled out into a pretty decent show. So we're just going to keep with this. Any questions, guys? You know the drill, man. Just ask. I just ask that you put your questions in all caps for me. That way I can see them in the chat. There's a little reminder right there for us. I welcome comments and questions during the discussion. This isn't just me up here being a professor and just giving a lecture. I want your guys' input, right? That's the fun of it. We're here sitting around and having a discussion. So what are we talking about tonight, guys? We are talking about the Peruvian face peelers. Have you guys heard this story? It's actually about a year old or so, maybe 2 years old now. The Peruvian face peelers. This was something interesting. And what's cool about this is coming right out of the newspapers, right? Like the TV shows used to say, ripped from the headlines. So that's what this is. This is all newspaper information that I use for this topic. The Peruvian face peelers. Have you guys ever heard of this? Let me know. This was a new one for me. So it did make the newspapers around the world, which I thought was pretty cool. I got this one here, the Daily Mail from the UK. This was published August 2023. Written by Chris Jewers. We want to give credit where credit is due. So Chris is the author of this article. This is kind of the headline of it. Terrified Peruvian villagers claim they are under attack from 7-foot aliens dubbed the face peelers as they plead with authorities to send backup. Members of the Iquitu tribe claim they have suffered repeated attacks by aliens. They have called for assistance from the Peruvian military and have started conducting their own night patrols to protect the vulnerable villagers. So what I really liked about the story is it kind of tracks with things that we hear from all across the world, right? Whether it's in Africa, Asia, South America, like this one, we hear of these tribes, more isolated people, and they're having encounters with beings. Different places, different beings, different encounters. But this is real to them. They're experiencing these things, and they usually call to whoever the higher military authority is for help. Sometimes they get answered, sometimes they don't. But this is a trend that we see all across the world when you start studying the topic. Okay, we got another one from news.com in Australia. Terrified villagers in remote jungle claim they're under attack by 7-foot-tall armored aliens. This was Frank Chung, written August 17, 23. The Mirror out of the UK by Hannah Kane on August 30th, 23. Terrified villagers under attack from 7-foot-tall aliens with really creepy name. That's a great headline, isn't it? Villagers say they are so terrified of the aliens, which they are calling Los Pelacaras, or the face peelers. They have set up their own night patrols and to protect each other. And of course, there's an artist's rendition of what they're seeing. Very creepy looking. Kind of Green Goblin-ish looking, as some of the people mentioned. All right, so I went to find the first source that I could find. This was the earliest one I could find. A Spanish newspaper called La República, written by Jesus Diaz Principe on August 3rd. And it's written in Spanish, so I'm not going to read the Spanish part, but I got it translated, and it says, "He hides his face. Citizens spoke with police and military about strange beings in Laredo. Members of the Iquitu tribe said that these events have been recorded since last July." So by the time it actually hit the papers, this had been going on for a year already. Okay, now this is a direct translation from Spanish, so the grammar is going to be a little different, sentence structure will be a little different in areas. We just realize it's because it's a direct translation. Citizens of Laredo reported being victims of attacks by strange beings. Before members of the Peruvian National Police and the Peruvian Army, the members of the Iquitu tribe gave their testimonies. "I have found him face to face. He hides his face." That was a translation of what they were calling him. "I saw the whole body floating. His arms move, everything. He is normal," they told the authorities. As recalled, those affected point out that these events have been recorded since July 11th. It was even explained that a miner was attacked and ended up with a cut after an alleged struggle. Some locals have the theory that they are the Pelacaras. Meanwhile, for ufologist Anthony Choi, these events are frequent in the Amazon. So I tried digging up the legend of the Pelacaras, and I couldn't really find a whole lot, except for involving this incident. So I was trying to find what the local lore of what the Pelacaras were and why they were thinking this was what it was, but I really couldn't find anything, unfortunately. I'm going to have to keep digging on that one. In one terrifying encounter, a 15-year-old girl narrowly escaped with her life after allegedly being set upon by the alien. As a result of the struggle, they cut part of her neck, reported local community leader Tidewe Davila. And there is a picture of the 15-year-old who was allegedly grabbed from behind and had her neck cut. They let her face out. She's a minor. But they got pictures of this stuff happening, guys. These people are really afraid of what's going on. These people are being attacked by something. Chat got kind of quiet, guys. I know we're paying attention, but any questions, any comments? Have you guys heard of this before? I mean, this was all news to me. We actually have photographic evidence of people being attacked. We have various community leaders talking about it. Locals are so terrified they can't sleep and have set up their own community patrols in a bid to prevent an attack. Horrifying images show community members with bandaged heads. But now investigations may prove fruitless, as the village is so remote it takes 10 hours to get there by riverboat. So that's one of the problems. This village is so isolated that there is no official government presence there. There's no military. There's no official police force there or anything like that. So they're kind of feeling on their own. This is a picture of someone who was injured in one of the reported alien attacks. This is all coming from that newspaper, La Repubblica. We need support for our community. The children do not sleep and the mothers stay up all night. They appear to be armored. I shot one of them twice and he wasn't even injured. He rose and he disappeared, Davila said. So as we kind of get more into the story, we're going to see more interaction. These people are trying to defend themselves, and you're going to start seeing more and more kind of weird stuff that they're reporting here. It starts off pretty mundane, and then it kind of gets a little more and more intense as we're getting into it. Grab a drink here real quick. Forgive me, I'm still pretty dry. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital with Jen and Mama J, and then all the other stuff and traveling. I'm still kind of recovering myself. A little twisted says, I've heard of it. Timothy Alberino went down there to investigate. Remarkable what he discovered. I'll have to look into that, Twisted. I don't know anything about that. No, I have never heard of it. Wonder what their motive was, said Chris L. Well, we'll see what the official answer is, and we'll try and figure that out. All right. So, while UFOologists say that these sorts of reports are common in the Amazon, I don't know. I didn't find anything on it as far as other reports of this kind of stuff, but I'm sure there is. I'm not a UFOologist, though. I don't do a lot within the UFO world. Now, I know MUFON probably has a presence down there, but according to them, this is common stuff. The local Peruvian villagers are taking the reports of the face-eating aliens seriously. The officials have yet to determine whether the reports are real, a part of folklore, or if it's merely all a hoax. Well, something's happening because people are getting injured, and they're taking pictures of it, and the people are scared. One thing that really bothers me, and I know we've talked about this before, is when people completely discount somebody's story just because they're considered a local, they're considered maybe less educated, because people from another place that are more educated just say, no, that's not possible. And it really irritates me. I see it all the time in Bigfoot reports. I see it in Dogman reports. When people say, oh, you just saw a bear, to somebody that's lived their whole, 50, 60 years in a place where there's bears, and they see bears on a regular basis. They know what bears look like. They know what bears act like. They know how bears move. And for somebody who's probably never seen a bear in a while to come along and tell them, oh, you just saw a bear, I mean, that's pretty insulting. And that's kind of, you know, the feeling I get here is they're going, well, we don't even know if it's real. They're just imagining it, kind of a thing. And I think that's ridiculous. Those people, the people that live in the jungles, the people that live in an area know more about their local fauna, their local flora, their local wildlife than anybody else that doesn't live there. I don't care what anybody says. This was news.com Australia, Frank Chung. Last week, tabloid media, so he's already throwing a dig at it by calling it tabloid media, reported stunning claims from terrified locals who said they were being attacked by 7-foot-tall flying armored aliens that look like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. The claims were made by members of the Iquitu indigenous people in the remote rural district of Alto Nane, northeast of Lima. So you can already see by the tone here, they're kind of scoffing at it. Now, locals described the extraterrestrials as having large heads and yellowish eyes, claiming they had been attacked every night since July 11th. Some villagers also described the aliens as being like Los Pelacaras, the face peelers, strange beings from Peruvian folklore that feast on human fat and organs. So it sounds like they're seeing something and they're relating it to this legend that they have, kind of like with El Chupacabra, where they had something happening and they related it to a later story. A lot of people think El Chupacabras came up only in the 90s. That's when it was popularized. That's when it hit the internet. But the folklore of El Chupacabras goes back a lot farther. And so what was happening is there was these attacks going on, and the locals there attributed the attacks to something they already knew from their legends and folklore. That's what's happening here. That's what they're talking about. 15-year-old girl was allegedly grabbed from behind and had her neck cut when she resisted. We saw that picture. Community members said they can't sleep because they are in fear. They said the aliens were immune to their hunting weapons and called on the Peruvian military to step in to protect them. Villagers also claim that the alien prowlers wear protective armor. So again, we're getting a little more pieces of the story. These things are armored, bulletproof apparently, large glowing eyes. Claims were made by the members of the Iquitu indigenous tribe. This is a picture from Jam Press. This is another photos of some people bandaged up saying they were injured by these face peelers. Too far. Back up one. There we go. These gentlemen are aliens. Community leader Jairo Avila told local media last week. They appear to be armored like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. I shot one of them twice and he wasn't injured. He rose and disappeared. We are very frightened about what's happening here in our community. You know, another interesting note tied into the Green Goblin and then the Chupacabra and all this. A lot of researchers speculate the description of the Chupacabras that came out originally, the lizard-looking creature with spines on its back, big red eyes, kangaroo legs. They believe that was actually a description from the movie Species of the child alien. And here they're also referring to this is like this movie. So I wonder if that's a reference point. We've talked before about how if you're unfamiliar with something, when you try and describe it, you will find the closest thing to it. And it's not always that accurate, but it's just the closest thing to it. A little twisted said, Timothy Alberino took a team of snipers, I believe, with him down there. Oh, interesting. Well, I wonder if you found anything. Did you find anything twisted, or was it just one of those like on TV where it's so close, we kind of saw something, but it ran away? Okay, so we're gonna get more of a description here. He added their shoes are round shaped, which they use to float. They float about 1 meter from the ground, and there is a red light on the heel. Their heads are long, they wear a mask, and their eyes are yellowish. They are experts at escaping. So now, not only do we have 7-foot tall bulletproof aliens wearing armor, we have aliens that float about 1 meter off the ground. And so now they're flying. They wear a mask and they have the yellowish eyes. So the description is getting a little more confounding. Griff says alien or secret government project, right? I mean, it's starting to get a little suspicious there. Twisted, Timothy spent most of his life in Peru. Yes, but he found out was profound. Okay. I will have to dig into that. Maybe we'll have a part 2 or an add-on to it and updated. We'll have to see. All right, villagers started carrying out night patrols to hunt down the intruders. They requested a military presence from the authorities, but it reportedly takes a 10-hour river trip to reach the community from Quito City. According to reports, the police reached the remote area on board a speeder vessel and toured the village perimeter, including the area where the teenager was attacked. All right. So now we have this crazy description of a floating armored green goblin alien that flies about 3 feet off the ground, or 1 meter, yellowish eyes, and bulletproof, attacking people. And it seems to be attacking without discrimination, kids and girls and men and whatever, just basically terrifying everybody. So they call in the police and they finally show up. Here's a picture. Peruvian authorities arrive to investigate the reported attacks. So now they're actually kind of taking it seriously. You can see them there. So they're coming in to check it out to see what's going on. Now, Twisted, we're going to see if what the official response is anything like Timothy's. We'll have to see. All right. This is from news.com Australia. It was unclear last week if the authorities found anything to corroborate the villagers' claims, and if the government intended to deploy military personnel to the area for any sustained period of time. So it was unclear what they found that was reported. But as the story went viral in the national media, the Peruvian law enforcement offered a new suspect. All right, we're getting to the official explanation to these floating aliens. They believe that they are illegal gold mining syndicates attached to powerful drug cartels, including Brazil's O Primero Comando de Capital and Colombia's Clan del Golfo, or the FARC rebel group. Now, this is kind of a tie into my background and my history, as we had to deal with the FARC when I was growing up. They were the main ones that was terrorizing the missionaries in my family and stuff was FARC. So they are definitely capable of some heinous acts. Brazilian and Colombia's militaries have partially ejected the groups from their borders. Peru's National Prosecutor's Office said over the weekend that these gold mafias are likely using jetpacks to inspire fear with bizarre alien terror campaign. In order to keep the locals in their homes and away from their illegal mining pits, prosecutors suspect the miners first began using jetpacks to prospect for gold deeper into the dense jungles. So essentially what they're saying is this is the cartels doing gold mining operations and trying to keep the locals away from it. We already know it's a remote area, 10 hours by boat just for the authorities to get there. And so they're claiming, this is what this is. They're using jetpacks. And I looked at it, and it's a real thing. Jetpacks are a real thing nowadays. And they're just terrorizing them to keep them away from these mining operations. And Grift, I want a jetpack. Heck yeah, me too. Of course, I'm afraid of heights, so I would only go about 1 meter off the ground. You know, I think there was a movie about a superhero like that. He could fly, but he was afraid of heights, so he had to like dodge parking meters. One witness, a local school teacher, told the prosecutors that the attackers were using propellers and other high-tech equipment. A little twisted just said high-tech jetpacks. That's what they just said, high-tech equipment. They would be using state-of-the-art technology such as thrusters that allow people to fly. The Peruvian government prosecutor Carlos Castro Quintanilla told the broadcaster on RPP, "We have investigated these gentlemen would be using this suit to reach those places." Mr. Quintanilla said that the mafias de extranjeros, or the foreign mafias, operate their gold extraction enterprise out of towns in Loreto, the northernmost region of Peru, with 80% of these illegal gold mining operations located in the Nanay River Basin where the Iquitu live. So this area is known for these gold mining operations. They're not just kind of randomly pulling something out of the air. And they're saying this is a known thing in northern Peru. Here is a picture of a local girl showing an image of somebody in the jetpacks that they saw. Now, I don't know if this is like a photo they took of the person in the jetpack, or if this was a Google search and they come up with images of people in jetpacks. It's not really clear. So we will put that out there. All the caption says is local girl shows an image of the jetpacks that they saw. So there is a picture, supposedly, of what it was. Still with news.com.au, Australia. A 2016 assessment by Interpol noted that in some countries, the illicit trade in gold would be more profitable than drug trafficking and seen as low risk by criminals, likely due to the strong law enforcement response to drug trafficking in the region. The nonprofit Artisanal Gold Council estimates that artisanal gold mining is a $30 billion to $40 billion US dollar industry. Peru is the largest gold producer in Latin America, producing about 150 metric tons of artisanal gold each year. Mr. Quintanilla told RPP that so far in 2023, authorities had managed to destroy 110 illegal gold dredges and 10 mining camps. So, what do you guys think? That's the story. So, the villagers are reporting aliens from folklore and legend. You know, the pelacaras. This is what it is to them. But as we progress through the story, through the newspapers, it starts giving the description. They're armored. They have these big eyes. They're flying. They got lights on them. And so it does kind of sound like, well, maybe not aliens, but something tech, as you guys mentioned. And then the government comes out and says, well, this is what it is. We know these gold cartels are up there. They're using jetpacks. Is that what's going on? I don't know. I'm not a big believer in just trusting what the government tells us is going on, because usually they know more, So what's really going on there? What do you guys think? Let me know. Little Twist just says, wow. Well, Twisted, how does that compare to what you know about what Timothy Alberino found? Griff said it could all be about mining precious metals. Get rid of the locals to claim the land and the mine. Yeah, that would make sense. It doesn't sound like they're necessarily trying to push out the locals as much as it is to keep them out of certain areas, to get enough fear in them, kind of boogeyman style, right? Where they're not just going to go wandering into the woods and come across these things. So That's what the government's claiming with it. So I don't know. I mean, I can see it that way. I really can. Just from what I know of how, cartels work and the way they operate, I can see them doing something like that. It's kind of crazy. A little twisted. I'm not going to say that one on air, but you guys can read that one. Justin, you always do great research. Well, thank you. And Griff, I'll have to look up Timothy stuff. Yeah, me too. I'll look up this Timothy Alvarino, and maybe next week I'll present it as an alternative, depending on what I find. We'll have to see. Like I said, I was going to do this as kind of a partnership with another topic, but I got so intrigued with it, and I thought, we could spend more time on it. Obviously, I was wrong. I tend to go through these a little faster. I could totally have done the other topic, but we'll hold off on it. That's fine. Might have a little bit shorter show tonight, maybe. Griff said, this kind of stuff makes me suspicious and cynical. Yeah. Well, it does, right? Because, we have to be skeptical about wild claims, but most of us know there's wild stuff that happens out there, right? So where do you find that balance of being overly skeptical or having your mind so open that your brain falls out? You know what I mean? You got to kind of find it in there. You got to figure it out. There's stuff in this world that we don't understand, and we're all firm believers in that. A lot of people accuse me of just being a skeptic, and I say, well, I am skeptical. That doesn't mean I don't believe. It just means I don't believe everything I hear or everything I read. I have to have an understanding of it before I can call it out as possible or not possible. Or, I mean, you guys know that as my listeners. There's a lot of things that I've researched going, hey, I bet you this is real, and I come to find out it's not, and vice versa. Things that I thought was going to be totally folklore, right? And then you're like, wait a minute, there's enough of this stuff going on that it could be real. That's why we have that checklist, right? I got to put that on a slide so I keep showing that, right? Our believability matrix, where we talk about the history of it, if it's historical, there's ancient history, if it's cross-cultural, different things like that. This one is obviously pretty an isolated event, but they have the legend of the Pelecanos, and I wonder where that came from. Again, I couldn't find anything on it. So I thought that was intriguing. And of course, while everybody says the internet has everything, it doesn't. There's a lot of stuff it doesn't have. And I don't know the right search engines to try and find Peruvian folklore and then translate it over. I'd love to find it, but I don't necessarily have which sites to do that with. Where on the web I can find it. But again, this was a listener suggested topic, guys, for us to dig into. I love taking your guys' suggestions. If there's anyone out there that has something for me to look at, I know it was a Twisted that emailed me something to look at. I got the email. I briefly looked at it, but then I had to pull myself away from it because I was involved doing some stuff. But I'll revisit that, and I'll take a look at that email. I know next week, if I don't do the Timothy Alvarino version of this, then I'm looking at doing zombies. The real story behind zombies. Where do they come from? What are they? Maybe we'll get into the historical context of where zombies come from versus the Hollywood version, all that kind of fun stuff. Twisted, you don't remember? Let me pull it up. See, guys, I check my emails. You guys email me something, I will see it and I will look. All right. Little Twisted. Oh, yes. The Peruvian mummies, the Caracas mummies, right? You want me to look into that one? That's an interesting one. Wonder if I can find a guest to pull on for that one. That'd be a good long digging show. Because there's a lot of information out there I have found from all different sides, talking about the elongated skulls and different things like that, the miniature mummies that are out there. Skull elongation is a known thing that certain indigenous tribes have done over the centuries. But supposedly these ones have different fusion plates in their head than what a normal human does. There's a lot of interesting different things that we can get into. I read somewhere that they actually have a different cranial capacity, where even if they were elongating the head, the cranial capacity would stay the same because all you're doing is changing the shape. You're not really enlarging, enlarging, the capacity there. But they tend to have a larger capacity. I remember somebody did a experiment with that. So Twisted, that'll be a longer one for me to work on. But I'll definitely put it together and we'll do it some justice. I think that'll be a good one. So next week we're talking zombies, or part 2 of the face peelers and zombies. We'll kind of see. I do have a guest I want to bring on, an experiencer from when she was younger on the East Coast. I make arrangements for her to come on. She's a friend of ours. So we got some good stuff lined up. I'm going to try to get back to my regular schedule, guys, again. It depends on health. It depends on everything going on. Jen and I aren't sure what this passing of Mom is going to do for our timeline of events, the things that we want to do. I mean, obviously, we're still engaged. We're still going to get married and all this kind of stuff for sure. We just don't know how it's going to affect our timeline. We want to have me move up there faster so I can help her through all this. I'm still down in Florida. So there's a lot of stuff we're looking at. So I may have to miss a couple of shows here and there, but I'm going to try really hard not to. Another interesting thing that I wanted to bring up, just as a side note here, that absolutely has nothing to do with what we're talking about. A little Twisted, send Jen hugs and prayers. I will. Thank you. A lot of you guys reached out to me, and really greatly appreciated the thoughts and the comfort y'all sent. But watching Expedition X last night with Josh Gates and Phil, and I can't remember the lady's name on there. I don't know if anybody saw that. I got it on Amazon Prime. They were in Harlan County, which is where Jen lives, and they were in areas that I knew about. So it was absolutely cool to kind of see secondary home turf, you could say, on Expedition X. That was kind of fun. I know who the researcher was they were talking to. I didn't know the other guys on there, but I knew the areas they were in Cranks Creek and all that kind of stuff. So that was really fun. And they did a really cool thing that I'm going to talk to Grizzly about when I can get a hold of him. They use some speakers that were ultra low frequency speakers. They were putting out infrasound, right? They could go as low as 10 hertz. And I think they had some really interesting results once they got into a specific infrasound range. And the results were analyzed, which I thought was super cool. It wasn't just, oh, here's something on the screen. And I'm going to I'm not going to give it away for those of you guys that haven't seen it yet. Well, Griff says use a subwoofer. Yes, but only specific subwoofers can get low enough to the point where we can't even really feel it. From what I understand, maybe whenever they filmed that show, that's what they were talking about. But I'm going to talk to Grizz about seeing if we can't procure the equipment to do that same experiment, even if on a smaller level. They had like 4 speakers stacked up, and they were blasting this infrasound miles into the woods. And they were getting some interesting results. So I definitely encourage you guys to watch that. It was a fun episode, especially fun for me because, again, Jen's home territory. I know a lot of the areas. So that was kind of fun. I know a lot of you were probably watching Expedition Bigfoot, Mariah, and all them. I don't generally watch that one just because I never have. Yeah. Riff said they had professional concert woofers. Yeah, stack them. They had 4 of them, they said. I'm more interested in the equipment that they had that registered the feedback and registered the stuff they were checking out too. So I'll check in all that to see if that's something the Bigfoot Outlaw we can procure. No clue the cost on it, no clue the availability, but we'll see what we can do. That about wraps it up for me tonight, guys. Anything else? Any other comments? Any other topics from the audience before we go? We're finishing about 15 minutes early, but that's okay because it means I can get to bed a little earlier, or at least relax a little bit earlier. Anything else, guys? Comments? Here we go. Twisted, a great show. Thank you. I appreciate it. I felt like it was a little thrown together. I've been working on it before I flew up to Kentucky to be with Jen, but I kind of put it together a little bit and been sitting on it, so I had to refresh myself as I was going through it. Patty Troy, I couldn't comment on this whole show until now for some reason. Good show and research. Thank you. Well, thank you, Patty Troy. I'll tell you what. Any comments you wanted to make, go ahead and make now. I won't close it out until you tell me that you made your comments in your discussion. I don't know why it wouldn't come through, but feel free to ask us now. We will definitely be on it. Another technical thing here I noticed. If you're trying to watch through the Things Network, Bigfoot Outlaw Presents, for some reason, it would not stream to that group. I'm going to have Grizzly look at that tonight. Or whenever he can look at it, I'll mention it to him tonight so we can take a look at that. We are always adding new Facebook pages, guys. We're always adding new people, new shows onto the Bigfoot Outlaw YouTube channel. I highly suggest to everybody to subscribe to it so you can see all the stuff. We have Bigfoot, paranormal, we have psychics, we have cold case files, UFO people. I mean, we have all different kinds of stuff. And we're always trying to add new content as well, new time slots. So whatever time slot you are, you can catch a live show, which is pretty awesome. You can always come back and watch the recorded shows. We give a lot of viewers that come back and watch, later on. So Patty Troy said, I'm okay. YouTube just wouldn't let me comment. Looking forward to your future shows. Well, thank you, Patty. If you haven't seen us before, feel free to go back and take a look. I've been doing this show for about 1.5 years now. So feel free to go back and check it all. A lot of good topics on there. Maybe the audience can suggest some for you. Chris L., isn't Mercury retrograde coming up again? That affects technological equipment? Maybe. I don't know. That's out of my purview there. Twisted said YouTube has been acting kind of weird lately. It has a little bit. I concur. But everything's been acting a little weird lately, so. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We will call it a night. Let me cue up our outro. You know the one I'm going to do. You know, one of these days we got to get Jason Kenzie on the show because I just love his outro and he'd be fun to talk to. I talk to him on Facebook all the time. I'm an admin in some of his groups. We're going to have to get him on the show. All right, guys. Coast to coast and around the world, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a fantastic week. God bless. We will see you next time.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, Should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. Get out of here! Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here!
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!